Okay, let us continue with this session now. In the last session, I was telling you about the condition checking statements like if and switch. We'll take one example from switch, we'll take that. And then we'll talk about the loops also today. We'll talk about why the loops are used, how they are going to be helpful for us. All that we'll discuss about the loops we'll discuss. Okay. Now, so before we move on to the loops now, let's have a revision of what we did with the help of switch. When you talked about this switch, what we did is we said this is the syntax for the if, sorry, for the switch. Okay, we'll be writing switch based upon some expression you'll be writing, or what you call a variable you'll be writing it. And then we'll be writing case some constant statement one, then break we are writing. So when you say break means what happened, it just comes out of the switch statement for us when it's going to come across the break. Okay, if I'm not writing break, then the slightly difference is going to be there. Let's not worry about that. We'll talk about only with break. We'll talk about. Okay, so whenever you want to have, like for example, where we are going to use the switch means, so wherever I'm having now a series of conditions are there where you're going to have the equal to comparison you're going to make. For example, let us say that like this you're writing it, if q is equal to 1, else q is equal to 2, else q is equal to 3, like this you're writing. So in this case, what you can do is now you can replace it with using switch. You can do it like this. Okay, so what we did in the last class, okay, it's something like this what we did for the switch case for us, right? Okay. You revise once again. You have any difficulties in understanding them, let me know. I'll help you out once again. Okay. As usual, so I'll be just using the exclamatory mark and I press the tab key. So where it's going to complete the necessary code, it's going to be completed for us. Now let's talk about the loops now. We said condition checking statements. So what is this condition checking means? We said based upon the condition what you're going to give. So the statement may be executed, may not be executed. That's what we said in case of the condition checking statements. So we have if, and then we have the else we have it. The statement following the if will be executed, or the statement following the else will be executed. Only one among them will be executed based upon the condition we said that. Now remember, when you talk about the loops now, why you are going to use the loops? Now before we tell, let us take one use case now, where now let us say that I want to print a message called huddle rise. Okay, I want to print the message called huddle rise. Oh, okay, let me use better thing. Let's say I want to print a message called welcome to huddle rise. This message I want to print 10 times. I want to print. Okay, I want to print welcome to huddle rise message 10 times. I want to print. One simple method what we can do is, one simple method is, so write that message sorry, I'll be writing like this: document object dot write. Then so the message, what the message is, welcome to huddle rise, that message is there, no? So that message I'll be writing it 10 times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times I'm writing it. Understood? No? So I'm writing the message 10 times. I'm writing. This is the simplest method. Now, but remember this method, if I want to repeat for, okay, now I want to repeat for 100 times, I want to repeat it. Okay, so you want to repeat for 100 times, but still what you can do is you can manage it. You can repeat it 100 times, you can manage. But the same thing you want to do it repeatedly, you want to do it. This method is not suggested for us. This method of writing the command again and again, it's not suggested for us. Now instead what we do is, using the instead of using the above method, what we do is we prefer to have something what you call looping statement, we call it as, right? So we'll be using the looping statements, we'll be using it. Now what this looping statements will do for me, these looping statements will help me to repeat, okay, a command, or what you call a statement. You call it as a command or you call it as statement, okay, for more than once. Okay. So what we are doing is, instead of writing, see what we did in the previous case, that is in line number, when I want to print and the message welcome to Huddle Rise 10 times I want to print, what you did, so I have written this command, welcome to Huddle Rise. I have given a shortcut over here. So welcome to Huddle Rise, this command, okay, the document.write followed with the welcome to Huddle Rise. This I have printed 10 times. I repeated the command 10 times. I have repeated. That means I'm writing the same command again. I'm writing it 10 times. I have written it. But so this method for 10 times or 2 times is okay for me. No issues in that. But if the number of times that you have to repeat is going to be more, then these methods are not suggested for us. Then what is that method? How we do that one is, then so what we do is we use something called the looping statements will be using, or the looping commands will be using it. So what are the looping commands that we have in our JavaScript? We have one is called for, the other one is called while, other one is called a do while. Okay, so we have one more called for each is also there. We'll discuss what it is for each and all this we'll discuss. So we have 4 different types of looping statements are there for me in my JavaScript. So all these 4 will help me to repeat a command or a set of commands, okay, as long as some condition is going to be true for me, right? So they'll help me to repeat the set of statements as long as a condition is going to be true for me. Okay, a condition is going to be true. So as long as the condition is going to be true, those statements will be repeated for me for multiple times for me. For example, so when I talk about the syntax of my for, so what is the syntax my for is? For, open the parenthesis, you give some variable, okay, is equal to some value. For example, I'm writing 1 less than some variable less than or equal to some condition, semicolon, v plus plus I'm writing. So you call it an increment or decrement, you'll be writing it. Now, let us say the same thing. Okay, sorry, we didn't write the syntax, we wrote this example. Oh, okay, I'll write the syntax. So for some statement, semicolon, some condition, semicolon, some other statement, then you'll be opening this and then you'll write the commands or what do you call the statements, the multiple statements what you wanted, right? Understood what I'm telling? The syntax is like this. So example, when I talk about that, now let us say I want to print 10 times I want to print the message. So what we took the example here. So I want to print the welcome to Huddle Rise 10 times I want to print the message. So what I'm doing now, I'm writing a simple loop now. So for some variable, whatever may be the value of the variable you name one, you can have it. I've taken a variable name called v there. V is equal to 1, 2. The condition is v less than or equal to 10. And then v plus plus I have written. Now here what I do is I'll write document object dot write. Then open the parenthesis in double quotes. I'll be writing what is the message I want to print. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll make use of the BR tag so that it moves to the next line for me. So I'm writing, so welcome to, so I'll just write Huddle Rise HR, I'm writing it. So at the end I'll put a semicolon. Remember, using a semicolon is optional after the command, that is a document.write. It is optional for us. If you want, you can use it, otherwise you can omit it. Now this command, what it does is it's going to repeat for me the numbers 1 to the loop is repeated from me from 1 to 10. It is going to be repeated, and you see that the message welcome to HR is going to be printed 10 times per minute. Let's see the example and we'll talk more about that. We know that whenever you're going to have some JavaScript code is going to be there, the JavaScript code is embedded into the script tag for us. Now I'll go to my file there, HTML file I'm going. So in the HTML file, I'm opening the script tag. Then, so in the beginning and the opening of your script tag, so I'm going to use, so in the opening and the beginning of the script tag, I'm going to use the command I'm writing it. What is that command? So I want to repeat 10 times, that has to be repeated for me. I'll just copy this and then I'll paste it here, right? I've written my script command, I've written it there. Okay. So I'm just trying to use some indentation there. Okay, so I'll just save this, right? Let me write something over here. I'll write, okay, document object dot write. Okay, so I'll just write today's date. I'll print it. What is the date today? It's a 20. Okay, no problem. I'll just say hello. I'll just print the message. I'll just print the message, save it. Then I'll go to the browser. I'm switching to the browser. I'll open my file. My file is c2.html file. I'll just say open it. Now you see that. So the hello message is printed for me once, and welcome to HR is going to be printed 10 times for me here. So able to understand what I'm telling here? So I'm having my command there. So I'll just let me use this. Now I have written this document dot out, document dot write. I have written here hello. I have written. So the hello what I have written there. So you see that it is going to be printed only once for me. So when I'm writing it something outside my double quotes, outside my loop, if I'm writing that is in my line number 10, what I have written, the hello message there, it is printed only once for me. Now, but what I have done here, I'm opening the flower braces for after the fur, I'm opening the flower braces and I'm closing the flower braces here. Now, here what we wrote it as what welcome to HR, I have written it. So this welcome to HR message, you see that it's going to be repeated for you n number of times. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is going to be 10th time it's going to be repeated for me. Now you see that the message is printed for me 10 times. Earlier what we did, before I teach you the loops, I gave you an example where I'll be repeating it multiple times, the same command. Now, instead of we repeating the command same command multiple times instead of we repeating, so what is happening here? Now, the looping statement like for has helped me to repeat this statement n number of times for me. Now, for example, you want to repeat for 10 times, you need to write v is equal to 1 to v less than or equal to 10. Now, let us say that you don't want to have 10, you want to make it 100 times, you want to make it instead of writing v less than or equal to 10. So what you can do is you can say it's equal to 100, you can write. So then what will happen, automatically it's going to repeat for me for 100 times it is going to repeat. So this is an easy method compared to the previous one what we discussed, right? So this is the much easy method of doing things. That is, whenever you want some task to be done repeatedly, you want to do it. That is, you want to do it more than once. Whenever you have some work to be done for more than once, it's always better to make use of the loops than writing it without the loops. So this is the advantage what we have for using particular loops. In earlier case, when you want to, let us say that you are not using loops now. Then if I want to get the same output, I have to write 10 times, I have to write. Now let us say that you want to get 100 times, you want to get. So these commands you have to repeat for 100 times, you have to repeat. Now instead of that, now what I'm doing, by using a loop, one simple statement I'm changing, one simple thing I'm going to change here is v less than or equal to 100 I'm making. So once I make this one, then you see automatically it's going to repeat for 100 times, it is going to repeat for me. So that is the advantages what we have when I'm going to use what you call a loops are going to be there, right? Now remember, any command that you have written outside the loop, for example, here I have written in the line number 11, I've written welcome, hello I have given it. So that is printed only once for me. That you have to understand. Anything that we are writing it outside the loop, it is going to be repeated only once. Anything that is being written inside the loop, okay, that is inside these two flower braces, it is going to be repeated as long as this condition is going to be true for me. So how it's going to work for me? Now, initially, it is going to have the value of this variable as 1 here. Okay, it starts with the variable. Now here, remember, the loop starts from here like this. So v is equal to 1. This is the starting point of your loop. So after this one, then it goes to the v less than or equal to 10. Now this condition is going to be executed. So after this condition is going to be executed, it checks, is it the condition going to be true or false for me? No, now the condition is going to be true for me. So once the condition is going to be true, it prints this message. After printing this message, it goes to the v is equal to v plus plus if you are written, right? So it goes to the increment value. When I say v plus plus, what will happen? It is same as writing v is equal to v plus 1. It is same as writing v is equal to v plus 1. Now what will happen? Now initially we know that the value of v is going to be 1 here. It checks now the condition. What is the condition? 1 less than or equal to 10 it is. Now it checks it. Now the condition is going to be true. So it's going to print me this statement. After printing this, it goes to the v is equal to v plus 1. That means it's going to be 1 plus 1. It's going to be 2. It's going to be stored for me. 2 is going to be stored into v. After this, again it comes to the condition now here and checks the condition. Now it checks the condition. What is the condition now? 2 less than or equal to 10 it is. Then the condition is satisfied. Again it prints me this statement. Now remember, the important thing that you have to remember here is this statement, what we are writing it. Okay. So whatever the statement that we are written here in the beginning of the loop. So this one, v is equal to 1 you are written, right? So this is going to be repeated only once. That is, in the beginning of the loop, it's going to be repeated. So this is executed, not repeated, sorry. It is executed only in the beginning of the loop. It is going to be executed, right? After this execution, then it goes to the condition here. So once the condition is, as long as the condition is going to be true for me, it is going to execute this statement following the for. If the condition is going to be false here, now let us say the condition is going to be false for me, then it comes out of the loop. Okay, once the condition is going to be false for me, right? Like that. So that's how the looping statements will be working for me. As I said, this is the entry point of your loop. So after the entry point, now it goes to the v less than or equal to 10. After that, it executes this statement. After the execution of this statement, that it goes to the increment v plus plus. Then after that, again it comes to the condition there. Now after the one, again it checks the condition. If the condition is going to be true, again it's going to execute this statement. But remember, important thing is this, what you are writing initially v is equal to 1 here, that is executed only once, that is in the beginning of the loop for us, right? Like that. That you have to remember. So this is not going to be repeated for multiple times. This is repeated only once. Okay. The other thing is what the loop is going to be between this v is equal to v less than or equal to 10, v plus plus, and so this document dot right here, the loop is going to be formed. That is, these statements will be repeated more than once for me. That will be in the form of a loop like thing that will be repeated for us. Now, how long it's going to be repeating? As long as the condition what you are writing here, it's going to be true. So if this condition is going to be false, then what will happen? It just comes out of the loop. It is going to come out of it, and then the normal execution continues for me, right? Like that. If you have any doubts, you can ask me, no problem in that. Okay. Yeah. So after this, okay, now this is the simple if for the a simple for loop that you are going to use it for the execution part. Now similarly, we also have another kind of loops are also going to be there. We'll discuss one by one. We'll talk about. Now let us talk about this loop now. So in this loop, what I want to do is I want to print the numbers. Okay, 1 to 10 numbers I want to print. So this I want to make the modification. I want to make the numbers to be printed. So if I want to print the numbers from 1 to 10, if I want to print, now here we have printed the message now. But when I said that the variable v is going to change the value from 1 to 10, it is going to change. Now, so along with the message, we can also print the value of that variable can be printed. So I'll say plus v I'm placing it. So then what happened? The value of this variable v is going to be printed there. So let's save this and check now what's going to happen for me here. I refresh my page. Now you see that it's going to show me what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 10 it is printing it. So where I have printed this here I'm printing it. So after this message plus v I have used. So what will happen? So this variable v, its value is concatenated to that particular message for us, right? You can see now the values are going to be printed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10. It's going to print for me. Understood now here? That will help me to print my numbers also 1 to 10 numbers. You can print it. Whereas we can make use of the loops means loops can be used for so many different purposes. We can make use of it. This is one simple example where you want to repeat it for 10 times. You want to do it. You can make use of the loops there. Or let us say that I want to find out the factorial of a number, or I want to find the sum of the numbers between 1 and 10. I want to find out the sum of the numbers. So what is that I'm telling? 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus so on up to 10. I want to find the sum of this. So if I want to find the sum of this one, then so what I'm doing is I'm writing like this now. So I'll take a variable called sum there. Sum is equal to sum plus v, I'll be giving it. So v is a variable. Now what I'm doing is I'm writing sum is equal to sum plus v, I'm writing. So when I say sum is equal to sum plus v, what will happen? It's going to add the numbers one by one numbers. So we know that it's going to generate the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. Numbers are going to be generated, or the value of the variable is going to be keeping on changing for me for each iteration of my loop. Okay. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, it's going to happen for. Now what I'm doing here is I'm writing sum is equal to sum plus v, I'm writing. So when I say sum is equal to sum plus v, so what is the value of sum? I don't know that. To avoid that problem, so what I do is I'll make sum is equal to 0, I'm writing it here. Now then what will happen? It's going to be 0 plus v, I'm writing. So v value is going to be 1. So initially the starting is going to be, that is for the first iteration, it's going to be 0 plus 1. Then after adding this 0 plus 1, that is going to be stored back into the same variable called sum. That means what will happen? After first iteration, the sum variable value will be 1 will be there for me. That is for the second iteration, when the value of v becomes 2 for me, sum will be 1 plus 2. So 3 again, it's going to be stored back into the same variable. So like this, what will happen? It's going to repeat for me from 1 to 10. It's going to repeat. Now I want to print some of the numbers. What you can do is you can write the document object. So I'll write document object dot write and then sum of the numbers. Plus the variable sum I'm giving there. I'll just save this. Let's go to the code and then refresh it. Now you see some of the numbers is 55. It's going to give me. So no, I don't want the up to 10. I want to make it only up to 5. I want to have it. Yes, you can just make the small change there. And then you refresh. Now you see the sum is going to be 15 for me there. So that is 1 to 10. So you can make any changes, whatever you wanted, whatever the summation you wanted, you can get that. Okay, and you can get the result, and you can see the result there and all. So this is how we can use the loops to find out the sum of the numbers, or you want to, we also have another use case like where I want to have the factorial of a number, I want to have it. I'll just copy this example. Okay, so I want to find out the sum of the numbers. Now, I want to find out factorial of a number. Any idea what you mean by factorial of a number? Factorial, any idea what is a factorial? So I want to find out the factorial of a number. Any idea?
Yes, sir.
Chapali.
2 into 1 into 2.
Right. For example, let us say I'm having a factorial. I want to find out the factorial for a number of 4 there. So how do you find out? It is 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So we start with multiplying all the numbers. Starting from that number, you can do it. Or we can have 1 into 2 into, sorry, 2 into 3 into 4 can also be written. But the correct method is this one, 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. But the answer remains same. You multiply from 4 down to 1 or 1 up to 4 you multiply it. Both are going to be, the answer is going to be same for me. So I want to multiply all the numbers. So for which you want to find the factorial. Now, so what I want to do is I want to get a number from the user, and for that particular number, I want to find the factorial. So how to get the number from the user means in your JavaScript, we have one dialog box is there. So what we call it as prompt, we call it as. So we have a dialog box called prompt. So what the prompt will do is prompt will give a message to the user now. I'll say type a number. That is a message. So whatever the message that I have given, that will be given to the user. and what the number that you are typing in. So that will be returned to the program for us back. So what I do is I'll take a variable called num I will take. So num is equal to prompt I am writing it. Let's see what is going to happen. So before we discuss more on that, I'm writing num is equal to prompt I'm writing, right? I'll save this. I'll go to my program. Now I'm refreshing my page. Now you see that it's going to give me the message type a number, and it has given me a small text box it has given for me, so where I am going to type my number. Now for example, let us say I type the number 5, I am typing it, and I click on OK. Then what will happen? It's going to continue for me. The number 5 what I entered, right? So that will be stored into this variable called num there. Then so using that variable value, you can do whatever you want, you can do it. For example, let us say that I want to find the sum of the numbers from 1 to that particular number. Now here what I do is I'll just say less than or equal to num I'm writing it. I'll just save my code and just get back to here. I'll refresh. Now I'll say 6 I'm giving and I press enter. Now it's, you can see that the sum of the numbers is equal to 21, it is saying. I'll just refresh it again. So when I say refresh, what will happen? The code is going to be re-executed. So when the code is getting re-executed, what will happen? Again, it's going to repeat me the numbers from 1 to 5. It's going to repeat. Now you see that 15 is coming, right? Okay. So that's how it's going to do for me. It's going to prompt. Okay. Prompt means asking for the number from the user. So using this prompt, when I'm using this prompt, what will happen? It creates a dialog box like thing. That's a window pops out, and then it'll ask me the message there. Sorry, it gives me the message and it asks me to type the number. So that is an indication for me that message is going to be indication what I'm going to do with there. So I'm just using it and then I'm getting it, I'm repeating it for n times. So how many times you want to repeat that variable is going to be there. Num is a variable which is going to store the value there. How many times you want the loop to be repeated there, right? Like that. Okay. Now, similarly, let us say I want to find out the factorial of a number. So we said what, when you say factorial of a number, how to find out the factorial of a number? We said it's going to be the multiplication of all the numbers from 4, 3, 2, 1. That is, for example, 4 if you take the number. So I need to multiply all the numbers from 1 up to 4 I need to multiply, or from 4 down to 1 I need to multiply. Either way we can follow it. So when you say down this, I mean you want to decrease the value. So instead of using plus plus, you can use minus minus can be used. Okay, timing I'm using only plus plus I'm using it. Now I want to multiply all the numbers from 4 down to 1 or 1 to 4 I want to multiply. So I'm writing 4 v is equal to 1, v less than or equal to num, and then okay I'm writing okay sum is equal to sum plus n I'm writing. Now if you feel that you are getting confusion with this variable, you can change the variable name. So I'll use a variable called f I'm using it. So then so I'll write f is equal to f plus v I'm writing it. Now here I want to print the factorial. So I'll just say factorial. So factorial is equal to, I'll just use the variable f there, what I have used, plus f I am writing. Save it. Let's go to the code, execute it. It'll ask me the number. I'm giving 5 and I press OK. Now see what is happening. It's giving me the factorial is 15, correct? So factorial of 4 is 15. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
That is wrong. What is the factorial of 4? 1 into 2.
24.
24, sir.
It should be 24. It is not 15.
Why?
No?
4 into 2, 3 into 2 into 1.
So 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. What is that? 4 3 is 12, 12 2 is 24, 24 into 1 is going to be 24 for me. That's how it's going to be. Okay, but what we have done here, we have written the plus symbol there. When I say plus symbol, what it is going to do the addition. But for the factorial, what I want to do, I want to do the multiplication. I want to do it. So here I'll be using the star symbol there. That is for the multiplication part. So I'll save my program. Okay, then I'll go here, I'll refresh my page. Now it'll ask me the factorial of, okay, 5 I'm giving it. Now it says what? 0 it is giving it. Now why it is giving me 0 there? Because
Initialization is 0.
yes,
F
Yeah.
is equal to 0.
we have
Change
taken
it
the
to 1.
value of f is equal to 0 we have taken. So when I'm taking value of f as 0 there, So what we are doing, we are asking to multiply the value of y and store into f itself. That means what will happen, the f value is going to be 0 for me. It is 0 into 1, it's going to be 0 only. That you are going to put it to f. Again you are repeating it. So you are incrementing the value of v, but the value of f remains 0 for me. To avoid that one, so what I am doing is, instead of using 0, I'll be using it as 1 there as an initialization there. So before I enter into the loop, I'll put the value of f as 1 there. And now let's execute the program and check. Now I'll give the number 5. Now I'm getting the factorial of 5 is 120. Let me refresh again. So I'll give 4 there. So we discussed the factorial of 4 is going to be 24. We got it 24. Now let's say you want to, I'm giving 8 there. You see the factorial of 8 is going to be displayed for me like this. Understood? So that's how we are going to calculate the factorial of the number. So whenever you want the factorial of a number, you can multiply the numbers from 1 to that particular number. All the numbers will be multiplying it and will be putting it into the same loop. Okay. So sorry, same variable will be using it to store the values like this. Okay. So any questions over here? Like,
Sir, I have one question.
yeah.
If we are using less than, right? In that place, we have to use greater than also.
You can make use of it. It depends upon what the condition you want to write. See, when I'm coming from a smaller value to bigger value, I'm coming. That is, I'm doing the increment there. So what I'm writing, v is equal to 1, v less than or equal to num I'm writing. So that means, remember now the num variable, now for example, I'll save this. I'll run my code now. So I'm giving the value of num as 5 there. It's going to be stored for me. Now, when you look in there, it's going to be what f value is equal to 1 for me. I'll do one thing. I'll just make use of my sketch. Okay. So now here, what we entered the value as 5 we have entered. Okay. Then what will happen? So the loop will be like this. V is equal to 1 to v value of v, that is 1 for me. It is less than or equal to 5. It will be like this. Now this condition is true for me, right? So that's why it is going to repeat for me. The loop is going to be repeated. Now, okay, let us say I want to write the other way I want to write. You can writing that one the other way is not a problem there. So let us see that. Now I'm not using less than symbol there. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to use the greater than symbol I'm trying to use. Right. Is it wrong? Nothing wrong there. There is nothing wrong using it. But what happens is your code may work properly, may not work properly. Let us see this what's going to happen. I'll save my code and then come back to this. I'll just refresh my page. I'll just say 5 there and I press enter. So what is happening here? What is printing here for me? Factorial is equal to 1, it is printing. Now comes a question, why it is printing me factorial is 1? I gave the number as 5 there. So let us have the analysis of this. Now here what happened? You give the value of number as this variable value is going to be 5 only, okay? But here, what is the condition? Condition is 1 greater than or equal to 5. That is my condition is. Is it 1 greater than or equal to 5? No. Understood what I'm telling? 1 is not greater than 5. So what happens? This condition is going to be false for me. What I'm writing the condition here is going to be false. We said what? The loop is going to be repeated as long as the condition is going to be true. Now here what happened? Before I enter into the loop itself, that is I have executed v is equal to 1 first, and then I'm checking my condition. What is the condition? 1 greater than or equal to 5. Now here what happened? The condition is going to be false. Then it comes out of this loop. The loop is not going to be executed if the condition is going to be false. Remember, whenever the condition is going to be false, the loop is going to be terminated for me. The loop is going to, the statements whatever you're writing inside the loop will be executed only if and only if the condition there what you're writing here, it should be true for me, right? So the condition what we are writing, that must be true for us. So only if the condition is going to be true here, the condition what we write here, it is true, then only the statements are going to be executed for me following the for. If not, what happens is the conditions are not, the statements are not going to be repeated. So what happens? So it is not entering into the loop. So what is happening here? The f value is printed as it is as 1 there. What we have placed the value there, So before the loop, before we entering into the loop, we have placed the value f is equal to 1. So once you come out of the loop, we are not able to enter into the loop because of the condition there. So what is happening? It is going to print me the value of f as 1 only, right? Okay, that means it has not executed. This part of the loop is not executed, or what you call these statements are not executed for us. That's how it's going to be happening for me. Now depends upon our requirement, so we'll be changing our conditions. We need to analyze the condition. Is the condition is going to be true or the condition is going to be false for me? Generally, when you want to come from from a smaller value, you are coming to a bigger value you want to do it. So you'll be writing, so minus value can be taken, right? Okay, you can have the minus or something like that can be taken when you are coming from a bigger value to a smaller value you are coming in. Like that we can write it and we can get the things done. Yeah. So not that we cannot write, we can write, but depends upon how the condition is, what type of condition that you are writing. Is it the condition is going to be true or not? Is it going to repeat for me or not? All those things I need to take into consideration. Then only I can have my code is going to be successfully getting executed for me, right? So you can have this one, no issues there. But only thing is depends upon your requirement. My requirement here is it is less than I'm writing it, right? Like that. Now remember, if you are giving condition there, so always the condition must be true if you want the loop to be repeated. If the condition that I am giving is false, then the loop is not going to be repeated. That we have to remember very well. Okay, that's how we are going to write a simple for loop. You are going to write it. Or for example, let us say you want to have a different kind of situation. You want to have it, like for example, what we call it as you want to have something like, what example we'll take now? Okay, let us say that I want to have something like I'm going to calculate the compound interest, or I want to calculate the interest values to be calculated. So where for each repetition I want to have the principal value and the interest amount both has to be added, and then the next for the next iteration, so we want to calculate the interest. What exactly we are talking about is, now let us say that we have a requirement. So what is my requirement is, so I want to calculate the simple interest, so I write it as SI. Simple interest has to be calculated for the first month. Okay, we need to calculate the simple interest for the first month, and for the second month, okay, for the second month, right, I want to use simple interest, what we got the interest in the last month, plus the principal what we have, both has to be added, and then you have to calculate the simple interest based upon this. For this value you want to calculate the simple interest. You understand? So this you want to repeat for 10 months, you want to repeat. So I want to repeat for 10 months. Then I want to find out what will be the amount at the end of the 10th month now, where I'm adding the principal and interest. Whatever the interest we are getting in the previous month, that has to be added and it has to give me the last result. So in such a case, what you can do is, so the total amount I'll be taking the variable called total. The total amount, or I'll give the variable name as TA, total amount. So total amount is equal to 0, I'm writing it. Right. Okay, now, so what is the principle and all that we want to know? So for that purpose, what I do is I'll make use of my prompt only, I'll be using it. Right. I'll use the prompt. So prompt, I'll say type the principle. Remember, we can also use a form also can be used, right? For getting the data from the user. So this is my principle P. Now I want to get the rate, PTR by 100. Okay, let's say time you want to read. So T value. Then I want to get the rate. So rate is equal to type rate of interest. Rate of interest. No. So you want to calculate the simple interest. Simple interest we calculate as SI is equal to PTR by 100. P value into T into R value by 100. We are going to calculate the simple interest. Now, but remember for the next month, what you need to do. So for the next month, it is not simply the principal, but it is principal plus interest. That is, so next month it is principal is equal to principal plus the interest, simple interest. So I'm just using the same variable instead of using one more variable called TA there, right? So I'm writing this simple principal is equal to principal plus simple interest I'm writing. So let us print the values. So what is going to be there for me? So I just want to use the printing has to be done. So for that one, so I want to calculate. I'm using document object dot write. Okay. Then so I'm writing BR. BR is to move the content to the next line. Then so I want to print the whatever I got the principal what I got P. Then I'm using a space in between that, and then plus the rate value. Now I'm using a space in between that. Then plus, so I want to print the space again. After the space, I want to print the time value. Then after the space, I want to print the, oh, okay, after T, I want to have one more space, and then I want to print the simple interest. Yes, I am using it there, right? I'll save this. Okay, now let's run the code. Now it'll ask me what is the simple interest. Sorry, what is the amount? I'll say 100. So what is the, sorry, there we got missed there. Okay, I'm just giving 4 there. Rate of interest 4%. Sorry, we did a mistake there. We are trying to use the old code there. Right. So it's first we are using how many times, that is what it is. No, I don't want to do it. So how many times I want to repeat? I want to repeat for the number of months there. So that is my T value. So it is less than or equal to T there, right? I'll just save this. Now, once again, I'll run the code. Okay. Now, so what is the principal amount? I'll say 100. For easy calculation, I'm using 100 value. Then it'll ask me what is the time. So I'll say 12. Then it'll ask me what is the rate of interest. I'm just giving it as 2 there and I press enter. Now you see that it's going to print me 100, 2, 12, and then it's going to print me 24 there. So what is the 24 here? It is the simple interest for me. Let me analyze it again. So what I did is, so I have taken V is equal to 1 to V less than or equal to T. That is my time, the number of time that you wanted. Then I'm writing V plus plus, right? So this is going to repeat for me for T term, T number of times it's going to repeat for me. That is a time, whatever the value that you are given. Now first term, I want to print first P value, then R value, T value. PRT, I want to print the values to be printed. Okay, it prints me PRT. And then plus SI I am using. So SI is going to be my simple interest. The next time when I'm repeating it, what I'm doing, I'm writing P is equal to P plus SI I'm writing. So it's going to do the increment of the value, it's going to be doing it for me there. Now here, when I'm looking into the output there, I'm not getting proper output, I'm not going to get it. So instead of this one, now I felt that I want to have the data to be printed in the form of a table-like thing for me. Then when you want to have the data to be printed in the form of table, so you can use the document object dot. So you start the table before you enter into the loop. So you open the table tab, okay, tag you open it. Then inside this, so what I am doing now, I want to use the data to be printed in the form of a table, right? So for that, what I do, I'll call the tr td. I'm calling it. So when I call td, what will happen? It's going to form a table data. It's going to form for me. So I'll just use one more table data. I'm not closing the tag. It's better you close the tag, right? So if you're not closing the tag, then what will happen? So browser may work properly, no issues in that. Depends upon some browsers, it may not work properly. To avoid that problem, it's always better you close the tag also. Opening and closing tag, both you write it. So then, so once you come out of your code now, so I want to close the table tag there. I'm just closing the table tag. Fine, like this. I'll just save it. Okay, I'm just going there. and there's a refresh now. So now it will ask me the principal 100 I'm giving. So time 12. So rate of interest 4 I'm giving. Now you can see that why it's giving me not a number. Okay, let's see why it's going to do it, right? So 100 is your the principal P there, and then 4 is your rate of interest, 12 is going to be the number of months. Then so first one is going to be 48 for me. For the next month, what is happening? Oh, so what it's done, so it has taken 1048, it has taken for me, but instead it should have been 1000 plus 48, it should take 1048, it means sorry, 148 it should become, right? Now what is going wrong there is because it is assuming the values of the type as characters, it is assuming it, or what you call string type. Then what I need to do is I need to convert them into integers. Now to convert them into integers, so what I'm doing, I'm calling the parseInt function, I'm calling it. So when I call the parseInt function, it's going to convert the string type of data into numerical type, it's going to convert. So parseInt, I'm doing it. Yeah, I'll save it. Now I'll refresh it. The same values I'll give 100. Now 12 months. Then it's going to be 4 is the rate of my interest. Now you see that the value is going to be 100 here. First starting is 100. Now let us have the heading for the table. Table headers will have. So what I'm doing, I'll take a row there. Table row. TH. TH it is principal for me. Print I'll take. Then so one more table header I will take. So it's going to be the next one is going to be rate, and then TH I'm taking one more header I'm taking. It's going to be time for me, and then one more header I will take. It's going to be simple interest SI I will give. Save it. Now let's see how it's going to do it for me. So I'll take the same values 100, 12 months, 4 is my rate of interest. Now you can see. So principal it's 100. So the first month it's going to be 100. For the second month it's going to be 148. So where 48, why it has added? It's a simple interest for the last month. Now it's going to be added. Again, we want to calculate the simple interest has to be calculated for this value 148. Next time when I'm repeating it, so this 78 also has to, sorry, 71 also has to be added. It is doing it like this, keep on adding value. At the end of 12th month, wait, the loop, wait, it's getting wrong there. So t is equal to time. So v is equal to 1, v less than or equal to 10. V is equal to p plus 10. Time is equal to, okay, 10 times it has repeated, 12 times it has repeated, no problem for me. So if you want to know the iteration time, how many times it has done the iteration for me, if you want to find out that also, we can print it here. So we can take the value t there. So now it's going to tell me the serial number there. I'll just, okay, let me use a symbol called hash there, right? Serial number. Now let me repeat it. Now, so okay, I'll say give the same value 100. Then I'll give and time is 12 as it is. Rate of interest 2 I'll give it. Now you can see the first iteration it's going to be 100 and then it's 24. Second iteration, so this 24 is added to this 100 and it's going to give me. So like this, each and every time what's happening, it's going to add the numbers, it's going to add and it's going to give me the result. The finally at the end of 12th month, okay, if I'm going to take a simple, the principal amount is 100 rupees I've taken at the end of the 12th month now. So this kind of method, if I'm applying it, then what is happening? It is becoming 1065 is becoming, and plus some change value is also there for us, right? Like that. Okay, understood now? So how you are going to do it? Now similarly, let us say that you want to have some depreciation to be find out. For example, I'm having a bike or some way, instrument is there. Okay, that instrument is having something what you call depreciation value. So let us say that each year you're going to calculate the depreciation value as 5% you're going to calculate. Now I want to find out how long it takes for me, that is if I'm taking per year depreciation is 5%, how long it's going to take for me to come down to 0, I want to find out. Then we can put a loop and then we can find out so how the value is going to change for me there. Okay, like this. Now we can have different places where you can make use of your conditions can be used, all the loops and everything can be made use of, and you can do it, right? So many different examples. As I said that what generally, so if you want to learn programming, you want to learn, the best method of learning programs is write new programs. That's it. Understand what I'm telling? The best way to learn programming is write only new programs. So only when you start writing new programs, you learn programming. Okay. So it comes a question, how do I learn programming? Where do I need to get the questions? Yes. So internet is a source is there, you can use them. You can also use my examples also you can use it. Try to remember the examples. Don't write the code there. Okay, don't try to copy the code. So let us not use the code there. So we understand the question and try to write the solution for the question, right? Then we will be understanding how to do things and all. So if I'm copying the code, no, nothing will go. I mean, nothing happens as it is. Nobody is going to have what you call a concept of plagiarism. They will not check, oh, this person has copied, or what is the amount of code that is being copied, or something like that. What you call the and the concept of plagiarism is going to not there. But it is what you call it. It is our moral responsibility not to copy the code from the internet, right? Okay. So try to find out more examples. You just try to find out. I'll give you a few more examples. I'll give you. Okay, so that you people can try to solve them.